Gracias. Okay. I have three poems. The first is If Narcissus Were Born Blind. If Narcissus were born blind, would his forlorn destiny have been avoided? If he never bore witness to colors or flowers or reflective bodies of water, would he understand the idea of aesthetic beauty? If Narcissus were born blind, if someone called him handsome, could he comprehend this word as the initiation of his ultimate undoing? If Narcissus were born blind, would his abject fate have found a way to escape into the ether of forever? Without sight, would he somehow know his skin was something for others to envy? Without sight, would he somehow know his silky hair was something not so usual? Without sight, could he comprehend when his mother's friend ran her fingers over his muscular frame that he was special? If Narcissus were blind, would he have developed his mind instead? If Narcissus were blind, would he somehow have found a way to always be the smartest person in the room? If Narcissus were blind, would he forego conversations because no one else could provide him intellectual stimulation? If Narcissus were blind, would he retreat to conversations with himself that weren't what he might decide to say to someone else because he was the only person worthy of his attention? If Narcissus were blind, would he have found a way to get lost in the reflection of his voice? He was, after all, the original narcissist. The second poem is called Just Add a Little Pinch. Once upon a time, I did not get overwhelmed by rooms designed for loud, overlapping conversations where I have to yell at the top of my lungs to be heard by someone whose face is an inch from my face, where the idea of an intimate conversation would sound like a macroaggression arm wrestling match using vocal cords instead of arms if all of a sudden everyone else in the room stopped their screaming. Once upon a time, this guy I had a crush on invited me to see the American Ballet Theater at Lincoln Center. The only other ballet I had ever attended was a school field trip to the Nutcracker. Before the ballet, we went to a loud restaurant with jazz playing so loud everyone had to scream to hear each other, which meant we all had to lean in so close it looked like everyone was leaning in for a kiss. The place was famous for its deconstructed Caesar salad with whole pieces of romaine stacked alternately with shavings of parm sprinkled with black pepper and herbs topped with a sunny side up quail egg, crispy fried boneless tiny headless anchovies surrounded by a halo of red, yellow, and orange grape tomato halves and a moat of olive oil streaked with a vein of aged balsamic vinegar. The ballet was a modern dance interpretation of Rites of Spring. I had never imagined the act of someone dragging their feet could be so sensual. The dancers danced with the fluidity of mercury that had escaped from a thermometer and couldn't decide if it wanted to part ways from itself or stay together. In the meantime, this guy I had a crush on who paid for my dinner was playing footsie with me beneath our seats. I could barely breathe when he smiled and stabbed my soul with his ice blue eyes. We met in Central Park at an Italian ice cart. He stood behind me in a tank top on rollerblades while I couldn't make up my mind what flavor I wanted. He helped me choose a combo pina colada and lemon lime. After he got his, we made all sorts of small talk. We proceeded to exchange digits. I borrowed a pen and paper from the Italian Iceman. I never thought he'd call me after we met, and I was too afraid to call him, but he called me out of the blue and invited me to the ballet. It was too much for my brain to interpret as anything other than pinch me, I'm dreaming. Once upon a time, I allowed myself to believe that a too good to be true pinch me, I'm dreaming crush would not leave my psyche with a history repeating itself bruised from the pinch. I have one more piece, which is called You Were More Than Everything. I never thought of you as a badass. You were just Mimo. Well, you were never just Mimo. When you were born in Budrum, Turkey, your given name was Mazel Tov, good luck in Hebrew. When you immigrated, it's a you were 6, there's no birth certificate or passport. You and my grandfather were arranged before the boat left. You married after you turned 18. On the first day of school, there was no ESL. The teacher asked for your name. Another Jewish girl told you the teacher would never say your name correctly. She said, you can use my name, Matilda, which became your legal name. But everyone always called you Mazel Tov, except your closest friends, who sometimes called you Hazel. One day, when they were at your place playing mahjong, the 1960s TV show Hazel was on in the background. You said, I wish my name sounded more American, like Hazel. Unlike the other women in your circle who were from Turkey, Rhodes, Italy, and Egypt, who spoke nearly perfect English, your English was always a bit broken. At your funeral, the rabbi mentioned that you were a single mother. I never thought of you as a single mother. Single mothers to me were either divorced women or women who had unplanned pregnancies. My grandmother died. My grandfather died when you were both in your 40s. My father and uncle were respectively 5 and 12. They both served in the military before college and accessed tuition through the GI Bill. You were a single mother. You were a tough-ass disciplinarian. You raised disciplined, smart, ambitious, successful sons. I never thought of you as poor. Some people would say your small, cramped home you and your sons lived in after your husband's death wasn't much, but it was everything to me and my brothers. I never saw it as small, even when we moved from city to city into homes that were at least 3 or 4 times larger. You were more than me. You were more than Mazel Tov. You were more than a single mother. You were more than everything you were. You were a badass. Thank you.